A way to make large walls or even other structures look better is gradients. So a gradient is basically when you go from one block, or typically like one color, and you slowly go and transition into another color. The way you create a gradient is first you need to find the blocks you want. So for example, I want to go from, say, like this black color with polished blackstone bricks into this grey color with polished andesite. And so what you want to do is you want to search the creative inventory, or search your inventory, or just look at blocks and see what blocks will make it transition more smoothly from this block to this block. The answer for this example are these blocks. So as you can see, the tiles are like deep slate tiles are a darker version of like the deep slate bricks. The polished blackstone is slightly lighter than the blackstone bricks, but for the most part it is the same, then lighter than the deep slate bricks. We've got stone bricks, and lighter than that we end with the andesite. One way to create a gradient with these blocks is to go and you start off with one layer, then you add in your you can add in another color. None of these are hard rules. You've just got to do whatever to make your build look better, but obviously there's going to be advice that will make stuff typically look better. And then next, in this example, we say, as you can see here, we want it to get slightly lighter, but we still want it to stay dark, so we're not going to use the tiles, and we're going to put in some polished, because that's a bit lighter, and we'll start using the deep slate bricks, because that is significantly lighter. Then we do another layer, because what's the primary color of this layer, and in this case it's deep slate bricks. Then you put in some of like this secondary darker color that was used, and then you go and you do it again, like so. Then you go again, and then you can start going like this. Maybe try separating, so this is the darker color from like down here, so you wouldn't want to put that directly next to the stone bricks, so you would keep those more contrasting colors away in your gradient. Then we want to go even lighter, and the way we go even lighter is we just put in more of this lighter block, which happens to be these stone bricks. Then now we want the primary color to be the stone bricks with a few deep slate bricks mixed in, which allow for a nicer color. Also, just remember to go back and edit if you'd like, because of course this is trial and error, and so you've just got to try and see what looks good, because you're going to want it to be at least somewhat random in some way, like move this to there and there, and you might end up overthinking it, but ultimately that's okay, as long as you get a good result. Next we're going to go even lighter, and up here we're going to start adding in some polished andesite, which is our lightest block. Then we're going to go again, add some more of the lighter block. As you can see, this gets very repetitive. And then for the final two layers, we want it to be mostly andesite. Here we want quite a few stone bricks, like so. I'm going to replace that. And then up here we want only like 2 or so bricks. And as you can see, we've ended up with quite a nice gradient. Now, if you do plain layers rather than slowly transitioning from one color to another color to another color to another color, you're going to end up with something that looks like this rather than something that looks like this. And obviously that's not what you want. But another way you can do it is you can have gotten your block palette, and then you place your blocks in layers, and then instead of creating your gradient from scratch, you create your gradient from these layers. Basically all you need to do here now is create a transition, oh god, these falling blocks are not great, is create a transition from the one color into the next color. I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to put that back. And so basically here, we're just transitioning from the one color to the next color, like so, and then we do it again here. So this is probably a more simple way to go about doing it, but personally I prefer this. I just find it easier, but you might find this method easier, and that's why I'm telling you about it. So once you've... oh, I don't really like that. Then we go and we do this, and then finally we can end off with that, like that. And now, this gradient looks a lot better than before, and as you can see, it looks similar to this gradient here. And so that's another way you can do your gradients, is to start with layers and then go like that. Now a gradient doesn't always have to be from like dark to light, or from like one color to another color. You can have it go from one color to something color and then do the reverse gradient. Or you can have something like this, but I'm going to touch on that later because it's a bit more complex. So here we've got more oranges with the bricks and the polished granite, which go into a more brown rather than an orange with the mud, and then it goes into quite a brown with the spruce, and then we just do the reverse of the gradient and it ends up with this quite nice wall. And then with this build here, as you can see, it is quite more complex, and that's because I haven't just used gradients, I've also used texturing. As you can see here, here's a textured wall, and here's another textured wall, and gradients and texturing go hand in hand, and you can use them together to create very nice gradients. So the first thing you want to do is to get your blocks, but instead of getting your blocks how we did with this, where you just go from one color to a lighter, and then lighter and lighter, and so on, you need to do that as well. But you also need to find like dripstone looks nice with the granite when put randomly together, like those blocks are put randomly. When put randomly together, they look nice. And same with this, that looks nice as well. It is lighter, but it also looks nice when put randomly with it. Same with polished granite, which is the same with this, which is the same with the two different types of mud, although the two different types of mud are also partially a gradient because this is lighter. And then we have even lighter here. So of course you're not really... using a gradient with texturing is going to be harder when there's less block choices for, say, the color that you want, because there's more like orangey brown sort of colors than there are like straight brown colors. I guess there is dirt and spruce wood, so maybe there are quite a few brown colors. I might have just not been looking for them. But now, to actually create this, we're going to get all of these blocks in our hand, and they fit exactly into a hotbar, which is real convenient. Now we're going to start creating our gradient, putting in some granite, and then we go again, except this one is going to be primarily granite. We're going to pull up some of these bricks here, as like so, and then we're going to use one of our variety sort of blocks and put it in there, one of our texturing blocks. Then now we want the same sort of thing, but we're going to do a bit more texturing with some of the copper, like so. And then we're gonna do the same thing again, and as you can see, obviously this gets quite repetitive, but that's okay, because it's only repetitive when you're building. When you look at this, it's not going to look that repetitive. And so we're going to do this again, and we're constantly thinking about going from lighter colors, because the granite is darker than, say, the copper and the polished granite, and so we're going to have that in our mind as we travel upwards, and we're going to want to start introducing our browny sort of colors. Then we're going to come here with mostly brown. We put in some of our orangey sort of colors, and maybe even some packed mud, and now we go up with, oh, whoopsie, with even more, tiny bit, like so, little bit of packed mud for variation. Some more of this, put a bit more packed mud. This time it's mainly for gradient. Now we're going to do some of this. We're gonna make it, We're gonna change it so this layer is mostly packed mud. Gonna do this again. Maybe put in like a mud block, but then we also want to start putting in our mushroom blocks. We're gonna do packed mud here. Packed mud has a really nice sound when placed, and that's something I hadn't noticed until now. But now we're gonna do that, and then the final layer we're gonna want to be mostly mushroom blocks with some of these. And as you can see, really quickly, we've made a nice looking gradient, but personally I think that kind of looks like a pattern there, which is something I hadn't noticed, so I'm going to go and fix that. So, as you can see, you'll want to take a step back, check, does your gradient look good? If not, you can change stuff up to make it look better. So now we can say, does that look better? And if it does, then you're done. And so that's how you make your walls look better. This works a lot better with larger walls, as you can see, because you have more space for variation, as you can see behind me. That was how to make gradients. I've made a video on texturing, so you can go have a look at that so that the gradient and texturing combo makes a bit more sense to you. I hope you enjoyed. Consider subscribing.